Hi everybody, this is Steve Olson, WSO Updates for March 25th, 2016. We think we might have solved the halo, or at least we definitely got further along the lines of solving the mystery. Space cameras are showing stuff again. I think that it's weird. And then lots of viewer vids and pics like we do every update. First thing I wanted to go to though, and to me is an exciting, kind of a revelation for me, is remember this picture from a couple days ago? This big eyeball? Um, Very wild photograph, very strange photograph, and we've been photographing basically this halo from all over the world. Russia, Norway, United States, North America, South America. We see the halo everywhere, so we know the halo is a permanent fixture in the sky right now, and that it's covered up, depending on what the sky cover or the chemtrailing situation is each day. So, but one of the things I've started to realize is that the halo seems to let sunlight out through the top, and then also in certain circumstances lets the light out from the sides of it and causes these sundogs that we've been seeing lately. And I had always thought that those might be planetary bodies, but in fact, I don't believe that anymore. I believe that what we have is a huge screen or smoke screen or who knows what it is that is blocking that middle sun, and it actually the sunlight escapes from the four corners of this thing as we've seen in many photographs. So yesterday, Jeff P calls me up and says, "Hey Steve, I think I saw one of the cloaking devices uncloak something and show something in the ISS footage." So certainly I went and looked at Jeff P's. I encourage you to go look at it too. But I also just had a subscriber that had downloaded a series of the same shots from the ISS, 192 shots that they took screensavers from, and that is dedication to the cause, and I want to thank them for it. But we can see that this halo is in space. It's the same thing. So notice how the sunlight seems to be escaping from behind the halo, right? And then we've got this down here. And you'll notice that it doesn't look like it's a direct lens flare from the front light of this object. It really seems to be coming from the behind of the object and reflecting off this part of the camera lens. So you take a little bit closer look at that. Is that what they're hiding? Is that some kind of a screen in space that is hiding these objects approaching the Earth? And when we see behind it, due to a refraction, that we're able to actually see the cloud, the orb, and the sun. And there's the orb approaching the Earth. Something let's discuss. Let's discuss this, guys, together. And then before we get into some of the other stuff, I wanted to give a quick update on the balloon project. This is going to be our effort to actually put a near space camera up in the atmosphere about 120,000 feet. We've raised $936 total. I am so thankful for the effort, and it's $1, $2 contributions. We had this very generous man in Canada, a businessman, that had matched 1,000, so we're not up to his match yet, but we're getting there. And then we look at the week, and we had this interview with Marshall Masters. I wanted to make a couple points on that. Number one, I'm going to let Marshall Masters talk, okay? And he said some controversial things, but I wanted to kind of empathize with Marshall a little bit. For example, when he says people are stupid, remember he's been in this effort for a long time, and he's seen people's eyes glass over so many times that I think that you have to give him a little leeway, because he goes for shock value in order to get your attention, because he's, I think we just have to be a little more empathetic to Marshall on that level. And then the second thing is, he makes some very brutal, bold pictures and graphic, ideas. But again, I think he does that for shock value to get people to wake up. And so let's give him a pass on that, and hopefully have him back on the show soon. And then the interview with Eric Briggs, which is, he was brought to me through, he had been interviewed and he was on the circuit about a year and a half ago, and then just dropped off. And Eric finally agreed, because of our relationship, to come back out into the open and start sharing some of his stuff. But Eric's a controversial guy, and I'm going to have a lot of controversial guests on. And a lot of these guests aren't going to necessarily be, you know, in your camp or this camp or the other camp. But remember, we are trying to get, you know, a network going here, and I think we have to look at all points of view and just be careful for, you know, for falsehood. And then Leak Project is going to have me back on April 3rd. What a great first interview we had. I can't wait. And the only reason that this channel is going so well is because of you, and I wanted to thank you all for helping me get this thing going. And I think that, you know, the main thing that I've learned is that we are helping people that felt alone no longer feel that way. And then a couple of quick notes. Back to the science part of this a little bit, okay? Remember, as we're looking at objects in space from the ground of Earth, we move 90 degrees relative to the sun every 3 months. In other words, we do a quarter orbit around the sun every 3 months. So many of the satellite cams also use orbits and figure eights to stay fixed relative to these various planetary movements. And the chemtrailing is worldwide. The reason I want to make these points is because this is why we don't have fixed objects that we can necessarily share. We're trying to get better at it, but you know, again, there's a lot of movement going on, and that's just what's happening. I'm learning just like the rest of you. Don't shoot me. I'm trying to get a spectrum of guests and viewpoints. I hope you enjoy that. But in case anybody's doubting where I come from, I'm a spirit-filled Jesus follower. I make no bones about it, and I take the biblical view as much as I can. So let's move on into today's work. So next, I'd like to take a look at some of the pictures we're getting from around the world. These are, of course, Mexico sky cams. Now, the first thing I want to point out, remember how we're getting this dark dot on the sun for forever? I wonder if the way that this blocking device is set up is that it causes a black spot in the middle because no light can make it to the middle of a hexagon, as Jeff P. was telling us the other day. So now it just seems like now the dot makes a lot more sense. Interesting. This was a very interesting photo to me, and because first of all, you can see the outline of the sun very clearly here. Very rarely do you get this kind of a picture in the clouds. Usually, quite frankly, when I see these, it's the sun. It's just the light refracting off the clouds, and that's why you think there's another sun. This one was really interesting to me because check this out. I'll zoom it in. This is clearly another orb, and it matches with the ISS a lot better than what we were seeing from the other stuff. And it also has like some very intense, very intense light coming from it as it sits under this. This is just a remarkable photograph, in my opinion. Thank you for whoever sent it. This is just looking at the sky cam or the chemtrails again. This is interesting because somebody did a thermal image of one of the all sky cams in Savannah. This is what they got. Very interesting shape. And again, now we see this black spot, and as maybe we're now starting to realize that it's really reflections going all over the place off of this, perhaps this obfuscation back there. And what we're really looking at is what's behind the sun, is what we need to be concerned about. And it might answer why the sun looks so freaking weird, man, like this. All right. And then you go down into into the sky cams in South America, and if it is indeed skipping refractions off the back, that makes these images make a lot more sense. Certainly. Again, I don't want to go too far down this theoretical path, but man, is it compelling what I'm thinking right now based on what Jeff P. and I realized the other day. Here's just some more Savannah at nighttime where we can see objects. The halo. Extremely halo. Here's one. If you've ever looked at the all sky cam in Savannah skies during the day, you're always going to see the big orb. You're always going to see this object. Again, this corroborates very well with the ISS imagery that we looked at before. And what this gentleman's trying to show is that this orb is behind the cloud. And I do think that this orb is basically refracting off some kind of a cloud structure above the atmosphere, and that's why it looks like it's behind the clouds. Now this is an interesting little pull-up I wanted to show you guys today. This is from Marshall Masters' site, I think, but it's just basically a replay of the increasing level of asteroid events that are happening. And I wanted to kind of go back to this concept a little bit here today because it definitely portends that we may be looking at an approaching body. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the NRO or I'm sorry, the Near Earth Object Program. My bad. Again, I'm the Archie Bunker, the wormwood. But I wanted to again point out these were the dates of close approach. We had a big grouping of them recently, but look at how many of them were discovered in 2016, guys. I have to point this out to you again. And then look at this grouping that's happening today and tomorrow, all basically the same lunar distance and, you know, similar shape, size, you know. Again, look at all the ones that are 2016, and, you know, you start to think, you know, wow, you know, this could be the approach of the system itself, and so we just need to pay attention and keep our heads up. You know, a lot of times I like to go and watch My Lord and God. You know, I subscribe to her sometimes and everything. She comes up with some great stuff, especially on the Hopis. But this Blue Star Chechnya, Kachina, right? This Blue Star Kachina Hopi prophecy video with link below. I'd like you to take a look. Of course, there's an ad in there right now. And then similarly, we've got the Skywatch TV had done a very, very interesting article or work with this you know, this ancient rabbi, this rabbi that believes that he thinks the Torah codes reveal that Nibiru may show up next week. Now, I think it's next week, but it's just one of those things where, you know, it's another piece of information. Not saying they're right or wrong. Let's just keep it all coming in. Keep all the data coming in. Keep an open mind, everybody. Okay. Now, do you guys, if anybody watched the Eric Briggs interview, and he was talking about how the moon, you know, is weird in his naval celestial background. Well, here's an article on BBC News that I thought was quite interesting, where they try to explain why the moon is spinning on a different axis based on maybe some type of a magma movement underneath the surface of the moon. So here we have mainstream media trying to explain it, and nobody else is really talking about it. So I think it's interesting that the, you know, 23rd March that BBC is starting to talk about this stuff, because I think they're anticipating that we're going to all start to realize it. And then finally, I wanted to, you know, kind of end up on, you know, the Leon thing before I go to the space pictures that I want to show you today. But basically, if you look at what happened today, we see the same thing happening. We see the red object parking up behind the sun, and I will show you that, and then we'll go to space pictures. So here we go. The sun comes up, boom, and the sky and the chemtrails start. But there's the object where I'm pointing the pointer right there. You can see it, and it follows the sun up. And again, you know, the same thing that we've been seeing all along. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to take a quick look at some Core 2 imagery, and these are from the 21st. We've got people that are really keeping their eyeball on this stuff lately, and I really appreciate that. But we take a look at this, and we see the object appearing on the 22nd here again. And remember, this is one of those figure-8 cameras, so if it appears to go around in a circle, that's because the satellite itself does go around in a kind of a circle. So there it is again, and there it kind of fades out, and then there it is up there. You know, this is from 10/26/2015. So the question is, did it get closer since then? And I would have to say I can't tell. You know, this looks bigger to me and closer than that. I'll let you guys be the judge. And then finally, this is just a blow up of the same thing that we've been looking at on a couple different views, where we can see this object in other, you know, satellite stuff. So stay tuned to WSO. We're going to be doing a couple updates this weekend, more interviews to come, lots of cool stuff. I want to, again, tell you how much I love and appreciate and pray for every one of you, even the ones that don't like it. God bless you.